At the beginning of this year, we didn't have much figured out. Just a room, some ideas, a growing family, and this feeling that if we kept building carefully enough, eventually our life would start to look the way we imagined it. Before the garden grew, before the projects, before the new baby, before all the plans started taking shape, there was just us, trying to imagine the future while living inside the beginning of it. We realized this year that building a home has very little to do with the house itself. It's the rituals, the soil, the conversations, the things you return to every day. We started buying things and prophesizing planting things before we fully understood the patience it would take to uphold our things. These trees taught us that we built for shade that we may not sit under for years to come. We dedicated time before we knew the full payout. We invested money before we knew our real return. And yet somehow all of it seemed to provide us exactly what we were looking for. These intentional activities allowed us the space to understand who we were as people, develop who we wanted to be as a couple, blossom ourselves as a family, and heighten our communication.
What we want to call the cherry tree?
That's what I was over here trying to figure out. Share? Yeah.
Share the cherry tree.
Share. That's Tan.
Tan the tangerine tree.
And that's the twins. What their name is? These is Peaches.
Huh?
These the twins, Pie Poke.
P and peach.
P in each.
Together they are the peach twins. P and each. Tonight, water the trees, man. Tonight, come back over here.
It's strange looking back at a year while already knowing how much changed. At the time, none of this felt important enough to document. These were just ordinary moments. Children moving through, conversations we barely remember having, but now I realize this was the foundation of everything that came after. There's something sacred about beginnings that don't look impressive yet. No polished vision, no perfect routine, just people trying to build a peace, trying to build the stability, trying to build a life that actually feels like their own. We spent a lot of this year learning that home isn't something you buy once. It's something you slowly create through repetition, through care, through attention. We stopped asking, what do we need right now? And started asking, what kind of place are we creating 5 years from now? 10 years from now?
We have a home, we have a backyard, we have a front yard, but we want it to be like a homestead.
There's something different that comes with building something slowly, especially in a world that constantly pushes speed, fast food, fast entertainment, fast success. But nature doesn't move that way. Families don't move that way either. Somewhere this year, we stopped trying to push our life into existence and we started letting it grow. We talked about freedom a lot this year. Not freedom in the way people usually mean it. Not luxury, not escape. Real freedom. The freedom to wake up slowly. The freedom to raise our children intentionally. The freedom to create instead of only consume. The freedom to know our neighbors. To grow food. To build things with our hands. To live closer to the pace of actual life. For a long time, I thought peace would feel dramatic when it arrived. But I think peace is quieter than that. I think peace looks like planting herbs while your children play nearby. I think it looks like shared routines, shared meals, and shared effort. I think this year taught us that we may have just stumbled upon our little piece of peace. And the only thing we could want from here is just the ability to protect that peace. I used to think creativity belonged only to artists, but now I think creativity is everywhere. How you organize a room, how you cook, how you parent, and how you shape your environment. A meaningful life isn't built in giant cinematic moments, it's built in maintenance.
See if we could get the other part of the yard, just for a reference. It's jungly back here, but that's the other side. And these are like 9x3s, so that's just a reference of how much space we really did. It's two 9x3s. Yeah. So it's a lot of yard. And we gonna weed bury it all now. We just have trees. We gonna get rocks. It's gonna be nice. Gonna do a fireplace, cook spot. We got some plans. Shoot, stick around. Find out.
The garden humbled us quickly. Some things grew easily, some things failed immediately. Gardening forced us to pay attention to timing, weather, soil, seasons, because you can't bully growth into happening before it's ready.
It's super late. What is it? What month is it?
It is July. It is super late. And then life surprised us again. Somewhere between the projects and the routine and the planning, our family expanded. There's a strange feeling that comes with preparing for another child. Excitement, fear, gratitude, responsibility, all existing at the same time. Seeing all three of them together for the first time felt surreal, like time sped up without asking permission. Children make time visible. You can actually see life moving. One day they need you for everything, then suddenly they have opinions, personalities, humor, memories. Watching them grow this year made us realize how important environment really is. Not perfection, environment. By the time spring returned, the house felt alive in a completely different way. The last frost passed, seedlings returned to the windows, the garden beds opened again. There's something deeply hopeful about starting seeds, tiny fragile things that somehow know exactly what to become. Spring always feels like proof that rest isn't failure. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you have a lot of people or just multiple people coexist
Right.
to the maximum of each person's ability. And everyone feels fulfilled and feel like they belong.
That's a deep topic.
I think humans forget that sometimes we think if progress pauses, we've failed. But nature pauses constantly. This year taught us that the life we want probably won't look conventional. We don't dream about constant consumption anymore. We dream about depth, space, community, slowness, useful skills, shared knowledge. We have a bunch of stuff to do today. We're going to take that pile of stuff and put it in that corner with that pile of stuff. We started asking ourselves harder questions. What actually matters to us? What kind of parents do we want to be? What kind of environment helps people thrive? Every new tool we brought into this house represented possibility, not just buying things for entertainment, but building systems for creativity. This year, we became more interested in making than consuming. Printing, building, gardening, recording, designing, experimenting. Little by little, the house became a workshop for the kind of future we imagine. Looking back, this year wasn't really about accomplishing one big thing. It was about alignment, learning how to build a life where our values and our actions slowly started matching each other. Not perfectly, not all at once, but intentionally. Our goal was to take who we were as creators together and as individuals, who we were as a family, our goals that we prophesized on our own, the goals that we collaborated to build together, and neglect all the thoughts that the world could press upon us, to cultivate a oneness within ourselves and within our household, leaving space for the growth and the change that we may encounter in the future. Looking back, it all seemed to come so effortlessly together, although in the moment there were a lot of trials, there were a lot of hard conversations, a lot of dedicated work that took more than just physical or mental or spiritual load. It took a lot of intentional compromising and wanting to envision a future with each other and continuously fighting for that right to be who we are as individuals while still envisioning a life with each other together. Each child brought a layer of spark, a new personality and form of depth that we couldn't anticipate being the exact key that we needed to make it through our next journey. Looking back at 1 year, it felt like such a small amount of time, and yet when you see it documented and presented before you, you can always be in awe or amazed at the amount of work, dedication, time, effort, income that was placed in becoming who it is that you truly aspire to be. It all was about alignment, learning how to build a life where our values and our actions slowly started matching each other. Not perfectly, not all at once, but intentionally. A sentence I'll keep repeating because it is true. I think that's what this whole year was really about. We really had to push for the learning that came behind the cultivation and understanding that a meaningful life isn't found. And understanding that although the work and the time and the effort and the dedication all adds to something, we're still only in the beginning. This is our first year, and dreams have only just begun to become physical. And while we make it into the next year, the fire and the flame that burns between us will continuously thrive and cultivate in each of the years. And as the seasons continuously cycle, we learn that as a family, we are growing the same time as everything around us is. These moments won't persist forever, and documenting the small moments will allow us to build what we can then see as something more dynamic than what it even appeared in the moment. Because we spent so much of this year trying to make this house feel lived in and not just decorated, we truly intend to make sure that it is lived in. A home reveals itself slowly through routines, through smells, through habits, through the way light enters certain rooms or certain times of the day. I think we're building more than a house this year. We're building a memory. Parenthood changes the meaning of time. Days feel long and years disappear. This year taught us how often growth happens quietly. Children grow while you're distracted. Relationships deepen while you're busy. Dreams take shape while you're doubting yourself. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking, are we doing enough? And started asking, are we present enough? A lot of love looks ordinary on the outside. Shared errands, shared stress, shared silence, shared plans whispered late at night. This year showed us that intimacy is simply building.